definitely the most compelling matchup in this region, if not one of the most compelling matchups. When you look at the cost of prescription drugs alone, the data is clear. 25% of employers in the United States have their budgets tied up in prescription costs. I mean, it is there's no arguing with the dollars that are associated with it. And we've talked about in a couple of the preceding regions, we've talked about some of those costs already. We've talked about GLP-1s. We've talked about consumers taking pharmacy costs into their own hands or pharmacy options into their own hands. But the flip side is you've also got a healthy amount of pharmacy costs in and around this notion of can we be more transparent in drug pricing information in hospital and associated care settings. And at least as of the start of this year, hospitals now must comply with new price transparency regulations, including estimating allowed amounts and detailing drug pricing information. So it feels like this is one that could have material activity in 2025 on either side. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I mean, a great matchup. Two really, really strong teams. Both will have major impacts, I think, for years to come. I think again, if we're going to just break it down, like in 2025, the price of drugs is just such a big problem for purchasers, for patients. I mean, yeah, patients are taking, things into their own hands when they can.
Yeah.
But over 50% of the new drugs are specialty drugs and very expensive. And I don't know how this is going to get solved. It's complicated because it's tied to the cost of drug discovery and how long it takes to bring a drug to market. Insurance companies are going after high margin drug opportunities where they can maximize the return on their investment over a shorter period of time. And to deal with that, you have to change the incentives for drug discovery, right? You have to do things like change like patent laws and maybe get to something where you recoup your new molecule through royalties that get paid over a longer period of time so that you don't have such pricing pressure over the few years where you have a protected brand. But that doesn't seem to be happening. But I just think that we will hear a lot about drug costs this year, whether the administration takes it on or not. It's kind of like one of those things when you get in, if you're really serious, you have to take this one on. But I don't know how they solve it this year. Price transparency is, in and of itself doesn't change much. It's what happens next that may or may not have a material impact. And what I don't know is the timing of that. And again, you've got some experts here who may be closer to, yes, there's compliance with regulation and making your prices available, but then there's the making that information digestible and then it leading to actions that create value. And I don't know if that's a 2025 issue or if that's going to come in 26 and 27. So I think my bias is that the drug cost problem is going to be a bigger problem in 25. I think price transparency is going to start to trigger a set of dominoes that will have impacts in the market, but I just don't know if it's this year.
Eric, do organizations like Longitude Health and what they're attempting to do, owned currently by 4 health systems across the country, creating 3 different operating companies, one specifically designed to focus and concentrate on specialty RX with those 4 health systems that all represent collectively billions of dollars and spend around the country. Is that an example of this year is the time that we'll see specialty RX make a move because health systems are now using that as a proxy for it? Health systems are embracing that they need to do something, not just wait for regulatory change?
I mean, that's a leading question, but I'll take the bait. I do.
Take the bait.
I don't think that this year Longitude Health is gonna, it's gonna take some time, right, to build these companies and to raise the capital. But I think it's gonna be a conversation. I think there's a reason why they're doing that, and I think that that's gonna become more of a reality this year than it ever has been.
Dan, more of a reality than seeing movement on price transparency.
Correct.
Issues.
Correct.
Feel differently?
No, but for different reasons. I mean, I think at the end of the day, until I see the market leading health systems who have negotiated because of their size and influence and brand higher reimbursement, the day they start lowering their prices because they feel like they're losing high margin business because of actions that a collection of employers have taken, then I'll start to believe. I haven't seen it. And having sat on the Blue Cross side of the table negotiating with them, frankly wasn't really a concern about being a higher priced provider because they perceived that their value prop was stronger and they should extract a higher price. So to me, I'm less a believer that it's going to actually change the problem. I think it'll create activity that'll be interesting. On the other on the other side of it, about Longitude Health, it kind of depends on whether health systems view drugs as profit centers or cost. I mean, with 340B and the what I'll call maybe bastardization of that program, frankly, in some ways, drugs are a real source of revenue too for health systems, and so it'll be interesting to see whether the conglomerations like Longitude will actually drive prices to end using the purchasers down or not, or whether it creates more efficiency for the health system. So I'll keep my vote probably the same way.